Hi, I'm Weston. I love talking about the Jets for some reason, and I am here to talk about Week 14. Jets lose 30-9 to the New Orleans Saints, and I'm wearing the Santa hat because holy crap, the Jets suck. We're going to go on a tad bit of a speed run for the game because I just want to get to sort of the main feature of the video. Let's see here. What were the problems? Oh wow, what a surprise. It's the same problems that happen every week. The Jets defense is pretty darn bad. The secondary is terrible. The linebacking core is somehow even worse. And the defensive line is just solid enough that they can almost make do for like the first few plays and on any given drive. And then it falls apart because, you can't just depend on a defensive line to bail you out of everything. The same kind of thing happened today. Except today, instead of last week where we got destroyed by Gardner Minshew and the wonderful stash, we got beat by Tofu, the quarterback, Taysom Hill this week. Because, even though Taysom Hill is not a good quarterback, the Jets made him look like the second coming of Michael Vick today. You could replace the Jets defense with single-ply wet paper towels, and I think it would still have more stopping power and strength. We can't stop anything. Saints team that's battered and injury-riddled, guess what? They're going to drop 30 on you. Ha ha ha! It's bad. Anyway, let's talk about the offense. It was also pretty bad. Where do you want to go? I don't think Zach Wilson played particularly badly. Sure, he didn't complete a lot of passes. No one could get open. There were at least 3 drop passes that hit Ty Johnson in the hands in the first half alone, and there were at least 6 or 7 passes today that Zach Wilson just had to throw away because literally no one was open and he was about to get sacked, which he also got sacked a few times because the offensive line didn't play particularly well. Look at that, more injuries. And as far as the wide receiver front goes, let's talk about those injuries. Elijah Moore is out. He is on the IR and will miss at least the next 2 games, not counting today. So another 2 after this. I say just let him rest for the rest of the season. Don't bother bringing him back and injuring him. Corey Davis is out for the season, which is also fun, which means the top 2 receivers going into today were Jamison Crowder and Braxton Berrios. Now, I like Jamison Crowder and Braxton Berrios, but I like them as a number 3 slot receiver and as a kick and punt returner, not as a 1 and 2 option, mainly because one of them, their primary position is not receiver, and the other one plays slot receiver. So, you're not going to get a lot with them. Zach Wilson just couldn't. There were no options open. And I think I've come to a conclusion with Zach Wilson, which is this season he can do one thing right, but not both. You can either from Zach Wilson get a beautiful pass, right, where it's a tight spiral, it's a beautiful throw, but it's probably a bad decision, or a great decision, but a bad throw. That's Zach Wilson in a nutshell this season. He can do one or the other, but he can't quite get it right. It's a sliding scale for him this year. Now, the bright side of that, I think it's going to be corrected by next season. I think he's going to have a good bounce-back year. I really do. But you can tell with Zach Wilson that he can do one thing, but not both things. And if you wanted to understand how genuinely injury-riddled the New York Jets are, 60% of our starters from the first game on offense and defense, so of those 22, 60% of them did not play today. Or did not start, 60%, if I'm not mistaken. We are injury-riddled. We are injury-riddled every single year. It's getting to the point where you're just wanting to bang your head against the wall. Like, what do we have to do to stay healthy? Do we need to change all of our medical trainers? Like, what keeps happening? It feels like every season it's like, looks like all the players that you have got injured. Time to go to the 5th strings. The receiving core was bad. I believe Vincent Smith, or was it Jeff Smith, got to catch a few passes today, so that was kind of funny. We've reached that phase of the season again, which happens more often than I wish it did. The Jets are injury-riddled. It happens again. I watched the game, so I can say this. For some reason, I watched the game. And I can be like, well, hey, the Jets, Zach Wilson didn't play good, but he didn't play as bad as the statistics show. But it's just another awful game. I genuinely have had to change my Christmas list from the things that I wanted to things such as, mapping equipment, metal detectors, compasses, so I can try my hardest to find any reason that I keep watching these games, because to this point, I've had no luck with it. I'm going to say, I think bar none, the highlight of the game, and maybe the Jets franchise, if we're being honest with each other, an actual piece of garbage was on the field and, blew across in full camera view during one of the games. It was the most poetic moment in Jets franchise history, and I defy you to say otherwise. It was chef's kiss, as that the Jets looking, again, horrible start, and just an actual piece of trash blows past the players, and it's like, we've come full circle. Shocker to the surprise of absolutely no one, The Jets have been eliminated from playoff contention today. That is the 11th straight season we have missed the playoffs. It's been over a decade. Actually, has it only been 11? It feels like it might have been 12. I think the last time we made it was 2010. It's been a long time. Anyway, I thought we'd play a fun little game instead of talking about because the game doesn't matter, right? I thought we'd play a fun game instead of that. And let's just, all of us, I will be your tour guide. Let's take a nice long look at the NFL in the year 2010, just so we can visualize and remember the last time the Jets were actually relevant in this league. In the year 2010, Tom Brady was the MVP, which I guess you can say the more things change, the more they stay the same in that regard. But this is where it gets kind of fun. The offensive rookie of the year was Sam Bradford, and the defensive rookie of the year was Ndamukong Suh. Rookie of the year, guys. Rookie Ndamukong Suh. Man. Defensive player of the year was Troy Polamalu in a season where Darrelle Revis was horrifically robbed, don't forget. And the leaders in the main three offensive statistics, passing yards was Phillip Rivers, which, okay, that makes sense. Rushing yards was Arian Foster with 1,616. And the receiving leader was Brandon Lloyd with 1,448. Man, oh man. The New England Patriots were the 1 seed with a record of 14-2. Again, the more things change, the more they stay the same. The Jets snuck in as a wild card. The Steelers won their division. Again, that's kind of to be expected. The Ravens, but not the normal Ravens of today, the Joe Flacco-led Ravens, were a wild card as well. The Colts, led by Peyton Manning, pre-neck injury, made the playoffs. They got eliminated by the Jets in the first round, by the way. And the Chiefs made it from the West, but not the good Chiefs, the Todd Haley-led Chiefs. Yep, remember when Todd Haley was a head coach of a playoff team? Pepperidge Farm remembers. Along with that, Matt Castle was their starting quarterback, who also made the Pro Bowl. Somehow, the NFC actually gets worse. The Philadelphia Eagles snuck in with a record of 10-6. That was the Deshaun Jackson punt return game against the Giants, just so you guys remember correctly. That was this year when that was the year. That was the last time the Jets made the playoffs. The Chicago Bears made the playoffs. Remember the Cutler Bears? The one year that they were actually good. The Packers snuck in. They would go on to win the Super Bowl that year. The 13-3 Atlanta Falcons, led by Matt Ryan, were the 1 seed. No, not that year. The other time they were the 13-3 Falcons with the 1 seed. The New Orleans Saints snuck in as the defending Super Bowl champs with a record of 11-5. And the Seattle Seahawks won the Battle of the Trash Fire that was the NFC West that season with a record of 7-9, where they would then go on to beastquake those same New Orleans Saints. Man, oh man. And to really remind everyone how insane it was, here's the top 10 in rushing yards and receiving yards, just to really prove a point. Top 10 in rushing that year were Arian Foster, Jamal Charles, Michael Turner, Chris Johnson of Tennessee, Maurice Jones-Drew. Remember Maurice Jones-Drew when he was elite? That's fun. Adrian Peterson, Rashard Mendendahl? I don't even remember that name, man. Steven Jackson, Aham Bradshaw, and Ray Rice. Ugh. And receiving yards that season for the top 10 were Brandon Lloyd, Roddy White, remember that name? Reggie Wayne, Reggie Wayne's in the Hall of Fame now. Greg Jennings, Mike Wallace, Andre Johnson, Dwayne Bowe. I don't even remember. I don't even remember some of these names. Larry Fitz, that makes sense. Megatron and Santana Moss. Those were the top 10 in those positions back the last time the Jets made the playoffs. So suffice it to say, it was a very, very different NFL the last time the New York Jets made the playoffs. It's been a long time. We've once again been eliminated. And look, the expectation for the season were very much not playoffs. I don't think any Jets fan, reasonably, were expecting the playoffs. I certainly wasn't. But there comes a point where you're like, look, I'm not expecting playoffs. I'm not expecting a Super Bowl. But my God, I'm expecting you to at least look competent. You know, like you didn't just throw a bunch of randos from the side of the street together 5 minutes before game time. To actually take pride in being a Jets fan. Like, we're getting to the point where it's so bad that I was talking to a person this week, mentioned I'm a Jets fan, and they're like, oh, I'm sorry. And I'm like, oh, do you watch sports and football? And he's like, no, I just know that the Jets suck. We're so bad that our suckitude has leaked out of just the football realm and into daily life for people. That's just what I want to change going into the next season. We still have 5 more waterboardings yet to go this season. 4 more waterboardings, excuse me. And it's... I hate looking forward to the offseason as much as we do as Jets fans. I just want to start enjoying games. It's another brutal one. So the next game we play is going to be in Miami taking on the Dolphins. And, man, it's going to... Yeah, it's winnable. It's winnable. But, you know, that kind of requires winning. So who's to say, really? I'll be here after that. I'll be here later on tonight with a Rangers video and a few other Rangers videos between now and then. So that's all I have to say for the evening. If you enjoyed, please subscribe. Jets fans, we need to huddle together in these dark times. Anyway, thank you all so very much for watching. I hope you all have an absolutely fantastic day. And as always, go Jets.